here to tell us about her meeting with Jim Clyburn as a part of the Revolution Recessed. Organizers from Labor Union, Taft Mangus and Esterphanie St. Juste and Nicole Moore from Rideshare Drivers Union are here to tell us about workers' rights. And last but not least, we have Richie Floyd is in the house. He's an Our Revolution progressive champion who won his primary in St. Petersburg, Florida City Council. And with all of that, please do tell us your name and where y'all are calling from the chat. For instance, my name is Clayton and I'm from where else but Texas. So let's see, who else do we got here? We have David LeGrand from O.R. Howard County, Maryland. Well, thank you so much for joining us, David. See, who else do we got here? Ooh, we got some folks from New York. Now, come on, y'all, don't be shy. Let's put up more of our names in there. We got folks coming in from LA, from Tony from Austin, Texas. Well, there we go. Anita from Dallas, and got some folks from San Antonio, Connecticut, and Virginia. Welcome, welcome, welcome. To learn more about our work, check out the latest edition of the Revolution Report. Check out, it's our weekly newsletter, which is emailed to our supporters every Saturday. We'll try to put a link in the chat for you. Again, please tell us your name and where y'all are calling from. Let's see what else we got here. We got some folks from South Carolina, from Joyce from King County, Washington. We have Judge David Heister from Houston, Botswana from Los Angeles. Oh boy, we are getting a whole bunch of folks on in here. So again, just please put your name in the chat and where you're calling from. And as we wait for our call to build, help us celebrate our revolution's 5th birthday this month by becoming a member. Over the last 5 years, we've become America's leading grassroots funded political or action organization, and we depend on people power to beat the political elite. So if you are a member, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. We cannot tell you how much we appreciate you because y'all make everything that we do possible. For other folks who are not yet members, help us celebrate 5 years today and receive this limited edition Bernie poster by donating $5 a month. I'm already a member and I might donate another $5 just so I can get that poster. We will be putting a link in the chat, and please note that the link is set for auto recur. So, just letting you know about that. And the link for everyone listening is rrev.us/Bernie poster. Now, if you are listening on the phone, all you gotta do is press *3 and an operator will take down your information so we can make sure we get you a poster too, because they are real nice posters. If you signed up to be a member, go ahead and just put it in the chat. We're all friends here. Let us know if you're a member. So it looks like, ooh, we got some more folks coming in. Let's see who we got here. Alan from South Carolina. We got Benito from DC. We have Dick from Pontiac, Illinois. Woo-wee. All right, so again, welcome to this Our Revolution Organized to Win. Please put your name and where you're calling from in the chat. Now we gotta do a few real quick housekeeping items before we get to the real meat of the show. If you are on the phone and if you have any sort of questions for our guest or for us, please press *3 and an operator will take it down. If you are in the Zoom room where the real action's at, put your questions in the chat, which kind of brings up a point. If you are on the phone, you're just listening in, you should really consider joining us in the Zoom room. I mean, it's such a really great virtual community. You'll be able to connect with folks, hear what everyone's saying, or see what everyone's saying, I suppose. And it's a really great time. And you can join our Zoom room right now if you want. And all you got to do is go to rrev.us/Zoom. Let me just say that again. If you are listening to us on the phone, we'd like for you to join our virtual community in the Zoom room. And what you can do is just go to rrev.us/Zoom. And with that, let me bring up the co-hosts for this evening, Anna-Marta Visky and Marissa Hormeal. Take it away, y'all.
Thank you so much, Clayton. Welcome to Our Revolution National Organized to Win call, everyone. I am Anna-Marta Visky. I'm a regional organizing coordinator with Our Revolution. I'll be your co-host tonight alongside Marissa Hormeal, who's our membership director.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to joining the call tonight. We are so excited for this call just before Labor Day weekend. So every Monday night we have a call with over 5,000 Our Revolution members. We come together for our weekly Organized to Win to talk through the political revolution we're leading. But first, let's take a moment to celebrate.
All right, so we have some victories to look back on, and also August is a special month for our revolution. It was this month 5 years ago that Bernie founded our revolution to create a grassroots movement focused on justice, to organize everyday Americans like you and I into a powerful force strong enough to push back on the corporate interest, to push back to the profit-driven corporations who seek to destroy our people and our planet.
And since August 2016, thousands of our members across the nation have gone forth in their communities to organize and mobilize their friends and their neighbors to transform the world as it is to the world as it should be.
That's right, Marisa. And over the past 5 years, our movement has been making a huge difference. Just think about issues like Medicare for All, the Green New Deal, or Fight for 15. These were a couple of years ago fringe issues that right now, due to our massive grassroots mobilizing and work, these issues are major policy demands.
And over the past 5 years, we've elected more than 700 progressive champions up and down the ballot, from school boards to city councils to state legislature and the US Congress.
Speaking of Congress, we have an exciting guest tonight joining, Levin, Congressman Levin, whom we elected to Congress alongside people like Cori Bush and AOC and Rashida Tlaib. So we have made some major changes in how Congress looks like right now. We have bold progressives in Congress due to our work.
And not only are we electing more progressives to Congress, but we're building a down ballot bench by electing DAs, judges, mayors, and city councilors across the country.
We are also doing important work when it comes to the Democratic Party. We are transforming the Democratic Party into a more progressive party, for example, by fighting to eliminate superdelegates, by establishing the first ever Environment and Climate Crisis Council, and by electing our members to important local and state party positions.
That's right. We're making a real difference because we're organizing from the bottom up. We believe that people have more power when they act collectively instead of when they act alone. And that's why our theory of change starts with building a strong state and local Our Revolution group who are committed to doing 4 things: holding politicians accountable, electing progressive champions at every level, fighting for progressive policies, and building a progressive Democratic Party. The bottom line is our members are on a mission.
And one of the best ways to learn about this mission and all the work we have been doing is by reading the Revolution Report. It is my favorite thing that comes out every single Saturday, and it's pre-blasted on Mondays to all of our members, volunteers, and organizers, supporters all across the country. So you can read the latest edition of our Revolution Report by clicking on the link in the chat. Share it around. It's really worth it.
And tonight we're going to talk about the battle over the budget with Representative Andy Levin from Michigan. We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to expand healthcare, tackle the climate crisis, and protect the right to organize, and we need to seize that moment.
That's why our members are holding Revolution Recess actions at the offices of members of Congress. Our Revolution South Carolina leader, LUCERO MESA, who is on the call tonight and who is a member of the Our Revolution board, she is here to tell us how our members took on Jim Clyburn. You might have seen that video. Eric Johnson from the Poor People's Campaign is also here to talk about that experience with Representative Clyburn.
And ahead of Labor Day, we'll also talk to union activists Taft Mangus, Esterphanie St. Juste, and Nicole Moore, leaders in the fight for our workers' rights. And finally, we'll speak to Richie Floyd, an Our Revolution endorsed candidate who just won his primary in the St. Petersburg City Council.
As Clayton mentioned in the beginning, we want to make this call very interactive. So if you're on the phones, and we usually have so many people on the phones listening, but if you're on the phone and you want to ask a question, just press *3. An operator will take your details. If you're in the Zoom room, hello, put your questions in the chat. Also, if you're on the phone, but you want to be in the Zoom room to be more interactive with all of our participants and guests, you can transfer yourself into the Zoom room by going to ourrev.us/Zoom.
And before we get started, I want to urge everyone to become a sustaining member of Our Revolution. Today, we are going to have this awesome promotion for everybody who's joining this call, and only this call, where if you make a contribution of at least $5 per month, a link that's in the chat, you will get this awesome Bernie poster along with these membership card. That's the front and the back of it with this awesome Bernie poster. So if you can go ahead and click that link that's in the chat. You can become a movement builder and you will get an awesome Bernie poster. So that's go to rrev.us/Bernie poster and you will get that awesome offer just here tonight.
All right, thank you so much, Marissa. Let's talk about the battle over the budget, everyone. This budget is important. Bernie wrote this budget, and now we have a chance, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to pass progressive priorities that Bernie put on the map through Congress. The next 25 days provide a unique opportunity to all of us progressives organizing on the ground to push Congress to pass Bernie's budget bill and take significant steps to advance our progressive policy priorities. So here is what's in this budget bill and why it is important. So we all care about Medicare for all, right? This is my top issue. Right now, we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to build the blocks to get to Medicare for all. We can expand Medicare right now to include dental, vision, and hearing. We can make sure that we reduce the eligibility age to as low as possible. We can also make sure that everyone in this country can get prescription drugs at a lower cost. We can enact key provisions of the PRO Act, the Protect the Right to Organize Act, and we can strengthen workers' rights through this budget bill. We can also make a down payment on the Green New Deal by stopping the government's support for the fossil fuel extraction. The next 25 days are critical on moving these priorities forward, and we need all of you to join us in pushing Congress to pass this progressive budget bill.
And this week, our grassroots organizing was key to moving the Bernie's budget through the House. U.S. Representative Juste and his gang of corporate Democrats threatened to derail the $3.5 trillion piece of social legislation by demanding an immediate vote on the bipartisan infrastructure bill. And as the negotiation was happening on Capitol Hill, over 100 Our Revolution New Jersey activists rallied outside of the Gottheimer's district office. And they were chanting, "Don't be in their pocket, put people over profit." And Gottheimer's gang buckled and agreed to advance the measure after Speaker Pelosi pledged to bring the infrastructure package to the floor vote by September 27th. And Our Revolution is insisting the budget bill gets a vote first to ensure the full support of the Democrats in Congress.
So in New Jersey here, we were able to change Gottheimer's vote when it comes to the budget bill. But we know that Gottheimer and other corporate Democrats like Stephanie Murphy in Florida, like Schrader in Oregon and others are going to go all out to strip out our progressive priorities from the final legislation. We cannot let that happen. You will see the progressive wing squaring off against the corporatist wing of the Democratic Party in a full-on face-off over the next 30 plus days, said Joseph DeVarghese, Our Revolution's executive director, who spoke to Newsweek this past week. Joseph declared that the fight is going to continue to make sure parts of Bernie's budget bill aren't watered down.
And that's why we're holding Our Revolution recess actions to demand that every Democrat support key progressive priorities like improving worker protections, ending fossil fuel subsidies, and expanding Medicare in the final bill. And this week, Our Revolution Massachusetts members rallied outside the offices of U.S. Representative Richie Neal, the Massachusetts Democrat who is the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, to demand that he stop governmental support for fossil fuel extraction.
And our organizers in Virginia visited Richmond to talk to the office members, staffers of Senator Mark Warner, to call on him to support the PRO Act. And now it looks like Warner is joining our side in this fight. Organizing folks, everyone works, everyone. So this is really important to keep going to these offices and deliver our message.
And Our Revolution South Carolina members confronted U.S. Representative Jim Clyburn on the Medicare expansion and climate justice, which we'll hear about a little bit more about in just a little bit.
And this past weekend, Our Revolution members in Ohio and the DC area joined marches in support of voting rights and the justice for all. 58 years to the day after Martin Luther King led the march in Washington and delivered his historic "I Have a Dream" speech.
And this week, Bernie hit the road to pitch his budget reconciliation bill in the Midwest. Our Revolution National Field Director, Mike Ollis, was there with our members in West Lafayette, Indiana. One of our members, Larry Alexander, who's a retired factory worker and Our Revolution member, spoke with Bernie about why seniors need Medicare expansion now. His wife's heart medication went from $92 a month to over $500 a month, and they can't afford it because they're on a fixed income. And as Larry told the crowd in Indiana, Medicare expansion would put pressure on the pharmaceutical companies to bring down their prices for people like his wife.
All right, so this is one of the most important parts of every call that we host Monday nights. This is the chance for all of you to take action. We have a call tool that will connect you directly to your rep. Use it at your convenience. Make a call as soon as possible. We need all of you to make calls. Let's flood the representatives' phone lines. We need to expand Medicare. We need to lower drug prices for everyone. We need to end fossil fuel subsidies, and we need to protect workers' rights. These are messages, short scripts that you can all deliver to your reps. Let's make these calls. The link is going to be in the chat for you. This call tool is super easy and convenient. It's going to connect you right away. So leave a voicemail, but let's make the calls to make sure that we deliver our message.
And before we bring up Congressman Levin to talk about the battle of their budget, I want to urge everyone listening to consider becoming a sustaining member of our revolution. We've been in this fight for 5 years, and we can go 5 more if we have your support, because we can't do this without you. And tonight only, you'll get this awesome Bernie poster with a contribution of $5 a month, along with this membership card. So if you'd like this poster, you can go to rrev.us/Bernie poster, or you can click the link in the chat. And if you're on the phones and you want to get one of these awesome posters and you don't remember that link, rrev.us/Bernie poster, you can go ahead and press *3 and an operator will take down your information.
All right, thank you so much, Marissa. I'm excited to introduce our first guest, Representative Andy Levin of Michigan. He represents Michigan's 9th Congressional District. He is a member of some key committees that deal with the concerns of working people. He's a member of the House Labor Committee, for example. He also sits on the House Education and Foreign Affairs Committees. He is the Deputy Whip of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, the CPC as we call it, and is a great friend of our revolution. Welcome to the call, Congressman Levin. The first thing I want to ask you is about last week when you joined Senator Sanders, Congress members Tlaib and Dingell at an event in Michigan. Bernie was there to talk about the budget. Let us know a little bit how this event was received and what's the state of play on the budget bill in the House.
Well, thank you so much. I have to tell you, I think all of my brothers and sisters in Congress should spend a little time listening to all the organizing you all are doing. This is fantastic because we're in this moment. This is an incredible historical moment where our democracy is hanging by a thread, yet we can pass this Build Back Better budget, this Bernie Sanders budget, that will really begin to transform our country into a more just place. So Bernie came to Detroit, the heart of Detroit, the east side of Detroit, right on Connor. And I used to be, a union organizer for many years. Within so close to so many, homes I would house visit of workers, nursing home workers and others. And we had an amazing event, super hot, Anna, in the sun, middle of the day. And Bernie was out there. There was a tent for the people, but not for the speakers. So he didn't care. And we were all out there. And it was a meeting of groups, of activist groups, of DSA was there. And our revolution was in the House, and local community groups, racial and economic justice groups, environmental justice groups were there. And it was sort of a summit of how we're going to organize to get this budget across the finish line. Because I got to tell y'all, okay, we got this $3.5 trillion budget resolution passed in the House and Senate. But in the next 4 weeks, we have to write this bill, all the details. And I don't want to pass a bill if the penalties against employers who violate workers' rights from the PRO Act isn't in it. I don't want to vote for this bill if the expansion of Medicare to cover hearing aids and vision and dental isn't in it, and to lower the age. I want the real climate change provisions in there. There's nothing on climate change in that bipartisan bill. So I would say, Anna, it was a summit of how we're going to organize to put the heat on every single Democrat in the House and the Senate, not just to pass this thing, but to make sure we have as robust as possible of a Build Back Better budget in there by the 27th, hopefully. So, because I don't want to vote for the bipartisan thing without voting for the, this budget, which is so much more robust.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's so funny to remember that Bernie called himself an organizer in chief last year, or we called him that. But that's what he's doing. He's actually going out. He's one of the only Democrats who is going out in neighborhoods, into the communities, to talk about the significance of this life-changing piece of legislation that we really need, as you said, to pass, with all the key provisions that we care about in it. So, what can our Revolution members, volunteers on this call do on the outside to keep the pressure up, so progressive champions like you, Tlaib, Congresswoman Dingell, and others, and Bernie can get this through the finish line on the inside?
All right, so I am totally into everybody making those calls, emails, texts, write old-fashioned letters to your senators, to your reps. That's all really good and important. Do it, and do it over and over. But there's more you can do. Hit the street. Go outside of and get creative and have fun. So think about, and there's so much in here. You don't have to try to cover the whole thing. What about just making this tax cut for families with kids permanent? I mean, that's $250 a month for every kid 6 and over, and $300 a month for kids 5 and under. Dude, I used to have 3 kids 5 and under in the house. That was $900 a month. That's transformative. And we already have data that is reducing child poverty in half and cutting child hunger. Bernie said it in Detroit. Okay, that expires unless we keep it in this bill. Maybe you could have an event just about that. Maybe you got a lot of union folks. Tell the story of a workers' campaign happening right now in your district, in your area, in your state, where workers are being crushed or employers are violating their rights, and say, we need Bernie's budget here so that we include this language to penalize employers who violate workers' rights. Social media is key. A lot of us, you may post on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok and you're like, oh, I only got, 12 people or 70 likes or whatever. None of us know when something's going to go viral. And the more creative you are, and you get other people involved, and honestly, if you're yourself and you have fun, people are going to notice and pick up your content. So, if you're get a bunch of seniors together who, and do a skit about hearing aids, have some fun with this. And I think we can really break through and drive the conversation. There's really hardly anything else like our revolution out there that has people organizing in this proactive way. I swear to God, y'all, we need you right now. This is like, so how many? I'm going to look at my calendar. All right, what is it, the 30th? I'm turning the page. I got an old-fashioned calendar here. Okay, 1, 2, 3. The 27th is exactly 4 weeks from today, y'all. That's when Pelosi committed to vote on the bipartisan thing. We don't have a lot of time, and we're writing these bills right now. So that crew that tried to stop this whole thing is going to be in there fighting. Make it smaller. We can't afford this. Don't do that. My corporate, donors, they don't want to pay. They don't want to pay higher taxes or any taxes. So we got to keep the heat on right now. And I'm saying, call us and write us, but have some fun in the streets and video everything, chop up your content, make some crazy stuff and put it out there for the world to enjoy.
That's great advice. And yes, absolutely. We are going in person. We are also going virtual. We are going on social media. We are taking all the platforms and yeah, it's have fun in the struggle for justice. It's a key advice. Thank you so much for that. I want to ask a question that kind of ties into what mentioned last with the corporate Dems who tried to stop the passage of the budget resolution. One member is asking, can you discuss the difference briefly between the infrastructure and the budget bills? Why is it so key for us to tie these two together, and what's in it that's not in the other?
Absolutely. So look, I'm fine with the infrastructure bill. You'll hear it talked about as $1 trillion or 1.2 trillion. It's really only $500 million of new money. Okay. But the key thing is it's mostly for traditional, roads, bridges, some sewers, a little bit of broadband, an inadequate amount for electric vehicle infrastructure. It has nothing for, what are we talking about with infrastructure? It means the structures that sustain life, that make society possible. Well, hello, if you're a feminist, you better have childcare or women aren't gonna be able to work because women are doing 90% of the care in this country. Hello, if we don't have universal pre-K, poor kids won't have a chance in this society. Hello, if we don't deal with climate change and the bipartisan infrastructure bill does like nothing on climate change, we're not going to have a planet that we can live in, and we're going to lose elections because all the amazing young climate change activists are like, well, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, I'm not even going to vote. So this is the bipartisan infrastructure deal is fine if you want to repave some roads, and I'm for that, and fix up some bridges and stuff. But if we want to transform our society into a more just place with environmental justice, racial justice, and economic justice, this Build Back Better budget, Bernie's budget that he's driving, is the ticket. And let me just say one other thing I said Saturday, because it was so fun. I mean, here I am saying, I got this crowd there and I'm like, y'all, we've got so many problems, right? We do. COVID, the Delta variant, Afghanistan, whatever. There's something right about America's democracy when Bernie Sanders is in charge of the budget committee of the US Senate. And thank God for that we have that kind of progressive founder, a founder of the Congressional Progressive Caucus driving the bus so it can be an electric bus into the future.
That's right. Thank you so much, Congressman Andy Levin of Michigan. We look forward to seeing you again soon, hopefully to celebrate our victories when we pass this budget. Thanks again. And now, everyone, the link to call your reps is going to be put in the chat again. Please make the calls. Those are very important. Also, as Congressman Levin said, have fun in the process, share some content, do some testimonials, share your story on social media, share pieces of testimonials from others. Let's make noise right now. We can do it every single way we can using our platforms, both personal and organizational. Back to you, Marisa.
Thank you, Anna-Marta. And now I'm excited to introduce some of our next guests. Over the last 2 weeks, we've held over 24 events across the country targeting members of Congress that have not yet expressed their support for ending fossil fuel subsidies, expanding Medicare, or strengthening worker rights. And as our Revolution Executive Director, Joseph Vargas, told CNN, the power struggle between the establishment or the corporate Democrats versus the progressives shows how far we've come in a short amount of time. And of those events last week, one of them took place in Columbia, South Carolina, where our Revolution members went to Jim Clyburn's office to ask him to stand firm in support of Medicare expansion, ending fossil fuel subsidies, and strengthening worker rights during the budget bill process. And it did not go as expected. So let's take a second and watch the clip.
Don't put stuff in the media that you're going to protest at my office. Protesting what? Call the media and tell them that you're here to thank me. Don't come out here intimidating my staff. No, but why don't you do that? Turn around to whatever media you brought with you and just tell them that I came here to thank Jim Clyburn for what all he's doing. Well, I can't hear you. What the heck you mean have done nothing?
We have so far. Medicare expansion is something that is needed. The health of all people is important. We need peace, we need vision, we need here. And we don't have any of that so far.
Did you read the American Rescue Act? Did you read it? Did you read the American Rescue Act? So you can read it. Read the Rescue Act that is already law.
And that is a clip from the Columbia action that you all got to see. The quality is not the best, but that was part of the reason, was because Congressman Clyburn kind of surprised our guests, and we'll hear a little bit more about that. I'm going to bring up our LUCERO MESA, who is one of the leaders of Our Revolution South Carolina and also a member of Our Revolution's board, as well as Eric Johnson of the Poor People's Campaign in South Carolina. Welcome, LUCERO and Eric. LUCERO, let me start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about the gathering outside of Representative Clyburn's office on Thursday morning?
Sure, Marisa, thank you. 22 of us. Actually, we were kind of expecting 10 people and we were so surprised. We have like 22 people. We couldn't believe it. We have people from Our Revolution South Carolina, the Poor People's Campaign, Physician for a National Healthcare Program in South Carolina, and DSA Midlands. We all came together to ask Representative Jim Clyburn to hear from us. Why Representative Jim Clyburn? Because he is very influential and he says he's the most progressive congressman. He is our South Carolina voice in Washington. We progressives wanted to urge him to support the reconciliation bill as it was sent from the House to the Senate. As all of us know, there is a lot of corporate interest trying to discourage Democrats and want to water down bill. We need a bill that is pro-people.
Exactly. And can you tell me, were you expecting to hear from Congressman Clyburn that day? And what did he say to everybody? It was a little hard to understand in the video.
Yeah, no, we didn't know that he was there. Actually, I was surprised to see him coming out of the door. But I have to tell you, we could welcome him to join us to discuss how we can work together to pass the Build Back Better reconciliation package.
Thank you, Lucero. So I am gonna bring up Eric Johnson now. He's a leader in the Poor People's Campaign in South Carolina. Eric, Representative Clyburn did come down to the rally. Could you tell us a little bit about your interaction and what he said?
Yeah, a big surprise. You know, we had just wrapped up taking a group photo, and then all of a sudden, Congressman Clyburn comes out the door and he's just yelling, he's like, "What is this about?" And so we tried to explain, you know, what we were there for, and he didn't want to listen at all. He said it was complete, you know, foolishness. And then, you know, I even went as far as asking, you know, okay, so what do you want us to do? How can we help? And he told me, you follow my instructions, you know, and and so, you know, we tried our best to talk with him, and I really would have preferred for him to, you know, take the time and listen, as Anna was saying earlier, and you know, as a longtime constituent, I mean, I'm not pleased with the reaction that, you know, we got, because we're really trying to be on the right side of change here, and we was hoping Congressman Clyburn would have been on the same side with us.
And can you tell me a little bit about how, you know, how does that make you all feel as constituents and you know, going out there?
Well, I've had the opportunity to be a longtime constituent in Congressional District 6, growing up as a child to now. And much of the conditions haven't changed. So I really don't know why we was met with that type of aggression, because it's not a lot going on. Things really look the same in Congressional District 6 that they did 25 years ago, you know. So it was very upsetting. And, you know, I really had to try to calm down as much as possible, because I had a speech to say there, but, you know, getting that reaction, and you know, you're out there with a lot of great activists that know where to protest or have a rally and go to these places. So, you know, he was trying to belittle us and tell us to read as if we were completely clueless about what we were talking about.
Wow, that's sad to hear that. It's not surprising that that's happened before, but you know, thank you all for so much for organizing, and it's awesome to hear that there was over 20 people out there on the street with you guys at this rally. And unfortunately, we're running a little bit behind on time, so I'm gonna have to say goodbye. We're gonna have to move on to our next guest, but quickly, before we do that, I want to let you all know you can still get your awesome Bernie poster with your membership card today only. For $5 a month, the link will give you an automatic recurring contribution. And before we go to the next thing, I just want to give a quick shout out to all of the people that have claimed their posters already, or at least the ones that I saw so far. And that's thank you, Luz, Mina, Audrey, Sam, Allen, and Constance for taking us up on this offer. And if you can, folks, please go ahead to go to rrev.us/Bernie poster now.
Right. So on to our next section and next guest. Labor Day weekend is just around the corner, and there is always a labor fight brewing in this country somewhere. Right now, we are going to focus on what's happening in Lima, Ohio, where last week workers gathered to protest the decision of Cenovus, owner of a large oil refinery there, which is planning to bring in around 3,000 workers from outside Ohio to work on the facility during a scheduled maintenance shutdown. Now, these jobs were previously given to given to Ohio workers. I wish they were all our revolution, most of whom are in unions that guarantee, of course, a living wage and benefits. The move to bring in non-union workers, mostly from Texas, that has now thousands of Lima residents asking what are they going to do now that their source of living has been cut off. As we fight to include our progressive priorities in the next budget bill, including some provisions of the PRO Act, we want to make sure that we increase and enforce penalties for companies that engage in union busting and other labor law violations. So here to tell us a little bit about why this matters is our Revolution Lima leader, Taft Mangas from the Laborers International Union of North America. Welcome to the call, Taft. Tell us a little bit about the fight in Lima and how workers are pushing back exactly there.
Hey, thank you, Anna-Marta. I'm glad to be here representing my membership and the local union. So it's been about 12 to 14 weeks of our campaign. We started off building community support with a simple message: Ohio jobs for Ohio workers. We attended rallies, festivals, picnics, any political group meeting, just trying to build community support, bipartisan. Then we got the rest of the building trades involved. They loved our message too. And thanks to our revolution and Diane Morgan, we now have over 2,000 petition signatures. That means a lot to a small town like us. We've received bipartisan support from our city council, township associations, neighborhood associations that are affected by this decision to use out-of-state labor at a lower cost than the family sustaining wages that we're paid. So right now, we've had lots of job actions. We've done lots of different things. We now have pending unfair labor practice charges with NLRB, and this really couldn't have been possible without organizing and training our own members and to activists that are really driving this campaign and make it what it is.
Thank you so much, Taft. I also want to mention that you are leader of the local Our Revolution chapter, Our Revolution Lima. And yes, you're organizing your workers, you're organizing your members. That's great work. Thank you also to Diane in Ohio. Now I want to bring in two leaders of Rideshare Drivers United who are leading the fight to make driving for Lyft and Uber good union jobs. First, welcome, Esterphanie. Tell us a bit about yourself and Rideshare Drivers United.
Hello, my name is Esterphanie Juste, and I'm one of the founding members of Rideshare Drivers United. And we started because basically we don't have any rights, because we're independent contractors. The Lyft and Uber treat us like employees, but without the protections of an employee. So, like, for instance, what happens is that they update the contract that they have with the drivers, and they update it by sending the update in the app. So if you don't sign that, if you don't agree with the contract, you're out. You can't drive anymore. You can't pay your bills. So we have no choice, because right now, on average, in LA, they're taking between 40% and 70% of the fare. So you can imagine what that's like. You know, that you wake up at 4 in the morning and you're going to take rides, you know, to the airport. People are going to the airport, and you paid for the car. It's your car, your gasoline, and they take 70% of the fare. And they claim, well, it's because we signed our rights away. So with Prop 22, what they did was lie to the voters and they lied to us. So they are saying that, oh, it's a flexibility. Vote for Prop 22 for your flexibility. Meanwhile, that has nothing to do with it. Nothing. Because they decided that flexibility is important. Otherwise, they couldn't get drivers. So they've removed. So what they did is that they updated the contract. They changed the terms of service, and we can't do anything about it. What they did was they drafted a law, because we got AB 5 passed, which recognizes, it doesn't make us employees, but it recognizes that we are working as employees. And then they made up this Prop 22. It basically says, well, we're excluded. That means we can do exactly what we want to do. It doesn't matter. And we're not, I mean, it doesn't matter what your definition of an employee is. But this model, we don't have to do that. We don't have to pay for Social Security. We don't have to pay for unemployment. And you, because you're an independent contractor, me and my Prius have got to be able to sue a multi-billion-dollar corporation. That I have no rights, because I can't afford that. And that's what an independent contractor is. So with the PRO Act would be a game changer. It would be a game changer. And, you know, and I want to tell all of you that they're trying to spread it. They took it to New York. They tried to make a Prop 22 in New York, except for it was, you know, brought down. They're trying to bring a Prop 22 to Massachusetts, so that workers don't have a right. They don't have the money to argue with them. So, you know, I think that without the right to organize, and without the right to collective bargain a contract, we're at their mercy. And a business, the only job of a business is not to take care of us, you know? It's to make money for their shareholders and their owners. And to do that, they have to, you know, cut costs. How do they cut costs? The driver. The workers suffer. So if this goes on, then you know what? Why wouldn't the car companies tell you, you know what? You're an independent contractor. Why wouldn't Walmart tell people that, you know what, you sign in on an app and you lose employee status? No protections. So I will turn it over to Nicole.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay.
Let's now go to Nicole from Rideshare Drivers United. And at the end, then I'll ask some questions about all three of you. So Nicole, it's Labor Day weekend. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what are you fighting for this Labor Day?
So Esterphanie and I are colleagues. We are both drivers. I'm a part-time driver. She's been full-time for many years. We are literally handcuffed by Prop 22. We're not able to regulate anything. We're not able to fight for a better wage. We're not able to organize a union. And like Esterphanie was saying, it's whack-a-mole. Everywhere in the United States, they're trying to pop these up. This is their business model. And I would say it's one of the reasons that they have so much investment capital, because they're invested in changing labor law for the long term to ensure that these companies make as much as they can and we make as little as we can and are not protected by basic safety and safety net laws in our labor law. So, you know, and understand that what they're doing with workforces like Lyft and Uber, like the delivery workers, we're a majority people of color and immigrant workforce. They're assigning a permanent second-class status to us. But that's not how they sell it. They sell it that this is going to protect your flexibility. In fact, under Prop 22, we saw our flexibility reduce. We saw our ability to choose rides go down because they made it less and less transparent how much a ride was going to be, how far it was going to be, all that. So they sold us a false bill of goods. They're doing it all over the country. We are counting on federal action on this. And that's why we are so inspired and in league with you guys who are fighting, not just for some compromise, but to get where we know we need to go, which is everybody needs the same rights as workers. So 3 weeks ago, Esterphanie and I were striking at LAX, you know, and it wasn't for wages from the company. It was for the PRO Act, so that we would have the right to organize. And there were at least 8 cities in the United States where drivers were on strike. We have to get together. I would, you know, there's so many drivers in this country. There's so many people working off app. My day job is in healthcare. We're organizing the healthcare work now so people can self-schedule. This is just a preliminary till those jobs also can become part of the second-class labor. Because when you can deploy by app, if there's no rights, and that's what the PRO Act and some of the other progressive legislation is doing, and we will fight till we win. This Labor Day, actually, I'll probably be working, but you know, we are fighting till we win. And we stand strongly with the people here that are also fighting, not for a compromise that's just going to help some people. We need to help everybody. The cost of what's happening to people is too much. I've seen people become homeless doing this job because it's the only job, as Esterphanie always says, where you start making some money and 5 years later, you're making a lot less. So anyway, thank you very much for the opportunity. And if you know rideshare workers, people working by app, we invite them to join RDU nationally to be part of the fight. And we are a worker-led, driver-led organization. We're independent, and we have to join together to fight these big companies, just like Esterphanie said.
Great, thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you, Taft and Esterphanie. One question before we move on. There was one question. What are the laws for drivers decided by states or federal law?
Both.
Both.
Yeah. So federal law is the baseline. States can do better than federal law. So for instance, in the state of California, we went on 2 gigantic strikes in 2019 and got the state to pass legislation that gave us the full rights of employees in our state. It was called AB 5. Several months after that, the industry had fought back with their initiative, Prop 22, that took our rights away. So AB 5 was better than federal law. So right now, Prop 22 does not give us the right to organize, but if federal law said we do have the right to organize, that would trump the state law.
All right. Thank you so much, Nicole, Esterphanie, and Taft. Again, we are fully behind you, and fighting for the PRO Act is a major piece of our push. It is outrageous that these rich corporations are chasing their bottom line on the backs of working families and vulnerable communities. I'm turning over to Marisa to introduce our next guest.
Thank you, Anna-Marta. Thank you, Taft. Thank you, Esterphanie and Nicole. Now we're going to talk about politics. Our next speaker is Richie Floyd, who last Tuesday won his primary to be on the St. Petersburg City Council. Welcome to the call, Richie, and tell us a little bit about yourself and some of the issues that St. Petersburg is facing.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, my name is Richie Floyd. I am a science teacher, former engineer, union activist, and candidate for city council in St. Petersburg District 8. Yeah, last week we won our primary. It was a 4-way race and we managed to get a majority of the vote, but there's still a runoff citywide general election on November 2nd that we'll have to get across the finish lines there in first place so that we can actually go on to actually be a city councilor. So that's the status of the current race. But yeah, like I said, I'm a teacher and an activist. I've been very active in my DSA chapter. We organized things for Bernie in 2020 and in 2016. We have organized in the city for a long time. I've been doing things here with my local labor council. I'm a member of my teachers union. And yeah, I mean, our city in St. Pete is unique in that we're a city in Florida, a low-lying city, but we have some of the same issues as other cities as well. So I'll just tell you the themes of the campaign so far, which have been, you know, first and foremost, the economic plight of working people, particularly things like affordable housing. The housing market is out of control in every city in the country right now. And so we've been making sure to focus on how we can keep roofs over people's heads without them having to break the bank. And we also are focused a lot on what's the flip side of that is raising people's wages to make sure that they can actually afford the things that they need to live. And that's been sort of the main themes of the campaign. But in addition to that, we've also been really focused on environmentalism because we live in Pinellas County, Florida, and St. Petersburg, Florida, and we're surrounded by water on 3 sides. You know, climate change and storms are a very real and present threat here every single summer and fall. And so, and we've had a environmental catastrophe here during the election in which a major red tide outbreak happened because of a pollution spill that happened earlier in the year, and it killed countless numbers of fish and marine life. I think there was literally millions of pounds collected by the city. So so we do focus a lot on environmentalism as well. That's one of the core themes. And so what we're trying to do now is reach everyone in the city. Now, the way that it works is that the primary election is in district and the top 2 then go to an at-large citywide race. And so that's what we'll be dealing with over the next couple of months. It's going to be a tall task, but we have a great campaign team that we really believe in. I really believe in them. And so I'm optimistic about our future. And we're going to just keep doing what we're doing, which is, you know, putting working people front and center, making sure that we fight for the things that people need so that they can have good lives, and try to bring really progressive politics to the state of Florida. because it's not always been an easy thing to do. So I won't go on forever at you. I have seen people put my website in the chat, people I know here as well. So that's great to see. But I've put my website and Facebook page in the chat as well, so you can learn more. But we've got to reach a lot of people here soon. And I really appreciate the support from Our Revolution. It's since Our Revolution's founding, I've been supportive. So it's really great to see. And yeah, if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to take a couple.
So we've got one question that's come up a couple of times is, folks have heard a lot about the state of Florida right now with COVID and everything, and if the governor. Could you tell us a little bit about what, I guess, the situation is like near you, and what, I guess, how you guys have been dealing with everything?
Yeah, I'll be blunt, actually. COVID is horrible here. It's worse than it's ever been. Schools have opened back up in Pinellas County with next to no structures in place to keep people safe. Like I said, I'm a teacher. I'm not working right now because of the campaign, but my wife is also a teacher and she's in the classroom. And just today she came home and said one of her colleagues is at home with COVID. She has students every day missing because they're out with COVID. The governor banned masks mandates in schools, and her student, they haven't implemented one in Pinellas County, and her students, she says probably 40% of them wear them, and many of them not correctly. And so things are bad and not really getting much better right now. I can't give you much optimism in that respect, but I can tell you that locally, we've done the best that we can. The cities and counties in blue areas have done the best that we can to limit the spread. During the first few outbreaks, we had a very low positivity rate here, and we're trying to get that back down in our county to make sure that we're taking care of the people that we have control to take care of. But one of the biggest things we have to do is fight against the state and continue to build a political movement that can create real change in the state so that we don't have to live under these jerks who are in charge right now.
It sounds awful down there, and we're hoping that everything hopefully gets better soon down there. Well, thank you so much, Richie, for joining us. We look forward to seeing all the great work that you're going to do in St. Petersburg. I hope you had a great evening. So these past 5 years, we've been doing critical organizing to elect a new generation of progressive champions, but we can only do this with your support. And as you all know, tonight we have an awesome Bernie poster that you all can get. If you make a contribution of at least $5, a recurring contribution, you'll get a membership card and a Bernie poster. So if you're already a movement builder, thank you so much. We cannot do this work without you. And if you can, we would greatly appreciate it if you can become a recurring donor. Last I saw, we had William, Tim, and David, who just recently became movement builders. So thank you guys so much for joining. And if you can, please, please, please become a movement builder. Anna-Marta, back to you.
Great. Well, thank you so much to all of our guests. As we know, Bernie says always that change happens from the bottom up. Bernie and progressive allies like Representative Andy Levin and others who are in Congress right now fighting for progressive priorities need our help to move corporate Democrats that are standing in the way of passing the budget bill that Bernie said would be the most significant legislation for American families since the era of the New Deal and the Great Society. We are that force on the outside that can help our allies on the inside to pass this budget bill. Bernie needs us. We need you. That's why we are gearing up for our Revolution Recess actions, and we are hoping that with your help, we can gain some major wins this summer.
And as we've heard from Representative Levin, the next few weeks are going to be critical to moving forward on the Bernie budget bill. Every single person listening on this call right now needs to call their representatives and tell them to support the $3.5 trillion in investments in healthcare, elder care, childcare, education, clean energy, and more, funded by making big corporations and the wealthy pay their fair share of taxes. And you can find that link in the chat right now where you can Take action, call your representatives using that link. It's super easy. You don't have to worry about dialing yourself, so you can get everything you need right through that link. And you can join our Revolution Massachusetts as we rally to call on Representative Richie Neal, the head of the Ways and Means Committee, to end fossil fuel subsidies this week. And then our Revolution Texas will be rallying to call on Representative Henry Cuellar to get with the progressive program. Then our Revolution Maryland will rally with at Representative Steny Hoyer's Greenbelt office to demand that he stand up and fight for our priorities.
And then our Revolution Oregon is going to Congressman Schrader's office to pressure him to support our progressive priorities. The link is in the chat. Also in Oregon, our teams are going to Senator Wyden's office to remind him that we need him to stand strong on ending fossil fuel subsidies, and we need him to support Medicare expansion, especially allowing Medicare to negotiate lower drug prices for everyone. In Texas, we have a team working on a rally to pressure Representative Vincent Gonzalez to do the same thing, to support our progressive priorities, expanding Medicare, ending fossil fuel subsidies, protecting workers' rights. The link to that action is in the chat. Then going to Ohio, tomorrow, our Revolution Ohio is hosting their candidate forum, which is going to feature endorsed candidates for the primary that's happening on September 14th.
And thank you everyone for joining us tonight, and a special thanks to our volunteers and donors and everyone who signed up to become a sustaining member and got their awesome Bernie poster tonight. Collectively, we have done so much over the past 5 years, and we're going to do great things over the next 5. So thank you so much for everything that you do. None of this is possible without you. And next Monday is Labor Day, so our team will be off. Our next Monday night call will be on September 13th with special guest U.S. Representative Joe Neguse and Buffalo mayoral candidate India Walton. Have a great Labor Day weekend. And before we sign off, you know how we all end this call. So let's do our chant. When we organize,
we win.
We win.
Awesome. When we organize,
we win.
All right. Good night, everyone, and see you on the 13th.
Good night. Thank you, guys.